Hello and welcome once again to Better Than Before on a sunny Ecuadorian afternoon, which I think is giving me a little bit better lighting than usual. It's always nice to see that the video here is coming out a little bit clearer and sharper. Never quite have quite as much control as one might wish. Be that as it may, this is a second video on a subject that I started yesterday, which is the extraordinary difficulty of talking calmly, rationally, and effectively about money. That money conversations are frequently hot button, explosive conversations in a relationship. And in this series of videos, I've decided to do a few days about this. In this series of videos, I'm going to be talking about the different effects that money has on our ability to communicate, stay mindful and connected, and why that is. Yesterday, I started talking about what constitutes a mature attitude towards money, and that a mature attitude is different from the instant gratification attitude. You can work towards achieving what you want either by saving for it or by increasing your income. There are a lot of ways to think about this, but a sure road to stress and unhappiness is indebtedness and acquiring what you want before you have any plan or any means of paying for it. Certainly, there are many cultural pressures or cultural norms that encourage us not to wait, to just go out and get it now, that you are saving money if you buy at this time-limited opportunity. But you're still spending money, and you still need to know where it's going to come from and how you're going to get it. So a mature attitude does involve a certain amount of patience and planning, but then there's other elements. So you're trying to make a financial decision. You're working with your significant other towards a financial decision, a determination whether or not to buy, when to buy, how to acquire the money necessary to pay for what your needs. You're trying to be mature about this. And then things just still seem to be very sensitive, explosive, that just getting into a conversation with your partner about money seems to go wrong or become very emotional and tense almost right away. And what contributes to this sensitivity? Well, money is, in modern society, a survival mechanism. We have to pay for things. Most of us do not grow all of our own food. Most of us do not have complete control of our housing. Even if we're living in what we think of as our own home, it's often mortgaged. Money has to go out every month to keep us housed. Money has to go out on an almost daily basis to keep us fed. These basic necessities are paid for with money. So money is very closely tied to our sense of survival. And when it's survival that is at stake, it's very likely that our lower brain, our lizard brain, which is something that I've mentioned in past videos, will start to kick in. The lizard brain is very, very focused on getting what it wants, and survival, and making sure that we survive the biological level. And money, for better or for worse, has been closely trained into us as a survival factor, how we will survive. We have transferred our most primitive food and safety survival instincts to money as the means by which we will have food and safety. So when we start talking about money, we have to be very aware that much of this message that we're trying to put forward is not really going into the other person's higher brain unless they have committed beforehand to a mindful, wise brain focused conversation about money. And if we're conversing with this person, we have to be very aware that whatever we say may quickly trigger lower brain instincts about money. And what will happen then? If the other person feels that this money conversation doesn't depend on their own stock of money, which is survival, they may just tune us out. Or if they feel that it does touch their stock of money and maybe cuts a little too deeply into it for their security and their safety and their survival tolerance, they will start spewing fear and rage chemicals in spite of themselves. They may be trying to be mindfully communicating, to be assertive and attentive, to be non-judgmental and involved as wise humans with this money conversation. But it isn't hard. It isn't hard at all for you to stumble into something where this survival instinct kicks in, the lower brain kicks in and feels that they have to defend the personal entity's survival in spite of their desire to operate at a more intellectual level. How does this happen? Well, no matter how strong your relationship, people still do tend to think of themselves as surviving individuals. They may break down this barrier more for their children. But as a spouse or as a relationship partner, you may not have access to the part of the person's brain that includes your survival in their survival. Your relationship may not have reached that unity point. And people then start to think of, well, this pot of money is mutual money. And this other pot of money is my money. And that interpretation of my money, yes, it's not unreasonable in a healthy relationship for each partner to be able to think of certain monies and certain money sources as their own money. Nobody should be so entirely blended with their partner that they don't know where they begin and their partner ends. So the question is how to talk about money that you are thinking of as mutual while being sure that you're not crossing into a zone where your partner is starting to think of the money you're talking about as their own money. This can be especially tricky if one partner is the earner and the other partner is at home. The partner who is the earner may not have fully evolved the concept of equal partnership and equal contribution to the money available at home. If you are the at-home spouse, it may become especially difficult for you to talk to your partner who works outside the home and brings cash money in. It may require preliminary discussion of how your money is shared, what is the mutual money, how working outside the home is one contribution and working inside the home is another, an equal contribution, and working that out beforehand, before both partners are really on the same page about what money is mutual money. If not, there's a very high risk that you'll trigger that unconscious survival brain and produce explosive consequences without ever having meant to. So in planning how you're going to do this, do think ahead about whether you've laid enough groundwork, whether you really have a partnership, an economic partnership that matches your relationship partnership, and that the money that you're talking about really is mutual money in both of your minds. Or this can provoke very ineffective, unmindful, lower brain type communication that does not produce a good result. Tomorrow, I'll continue this talking about money, and we'll see if we can break past, or how we can break past that survival kind of response. Thanks for tuning in. I hope you've gotten something out of this. If you've liked it, please like and share it. And I will be back again talking about mindful communication tomorrow. Have a good afternoon, evening, etc. Bye now.